The night began as a whisper. Delia awoke to the soft creak of the front door. Her heart raced as she crept down the stairs, the dim hallway stretching before her like a tunnel. The door stood slightly ajar, a chill breeze slipping through. At her feet, on the worn wooden floorboards, lay an envelope. It was heavy, ancient. The black wax seal bore the imprint of a skeletal hand. Delia hesitated, her fingers trembling as she picked it up. She didn't know why, but the weight of it felt wrong. Back in the dim light of her small kitchen, Delia sat at the table and broke the seal. The parchment inside was rough and smelled faintly of decay. Scrawled in delicate, spidery handwriting were the words, "You are invited to the ceremony, midnight, old cemetery." The words crawled across her vision, sinking into her mind. She dropped the invitation, her breath quickening. The room felt suddenly smaller, the shadows closing in. She looked up at the kitchen window. Beyond the glass, the night was thick with fog. Was that movement? A shadow? She stood, leaning closer to the window, but the mist pressed against the glass like a living thing, hiding whatever lay beyond. The clock struck 11. She should have stayed home. She should have thrown the invitation into the fire. But instead, Delia grabbed her cloak, a flashlight, and her courage, and stepped out into the night. The air outside was damp and heavy. The trees loomed over the narrow dirt path, their bare branches clawing at the sky. Delia walked quickly, the beam of her flashlight struggling against the dense fog. Each step seemed to echo, though nothing but silence surrounded her. After what felt like an eternity, she reached the cemetery. Rusted iron gates stood crookedly on their hinges, their once proud frame now consumed by vines. Above the gate, a faded wooden sign read, "Old Cemetery." Delia hesitated, her hand on the cold, wet metal. The gate creaked loudly as she pushed it open, the sound splitting the stillness like a scream. Inside, the cemetery was a maze of ancient tombstones, cracked and leaning, shrouded in moss. Her flashlight revealed names long forgotten. The silence was deafening, broken only by the crunch of her boots on the overgrown path. Then she heard it, a faint whisper. Delia froze, her breath catching in her throat. It was soft at first, like wind through leaves, but it grew louder, more distinct. She turned sharply at the sound of footsteps behind her. The beam of her flashlight swept over gravestones and fog, but found nothing. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. No answer. Only the whispering remained, growing closer. Her light caught movement ahead. A figure stood in the distance, unnaturally still. Delia's heart pounded as she raised the flashlight. The figure was tall, cloaked in shadow, its features obscured. "Hello?" she called, her voice barely audible. The figure didn't move. She stepped closer, but in an instant it vanished, leaving only the thick fog behind. She turned to run, her mind screaming at her to leave, but her feet stumbled upon something. Before her was a freshly dug grave, the dirt still loose. She shone her light on the headstone, and her knees buckled. Her name was carved into the stone. Delia, 2004 to 2024. "No," she whispered, her voice shaking. "No, no, no!" She stumbled backward, her flashlight slipping from her hands, plunging the world into darkness. The whispers were louder now, surrounding her. Delia ran. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to get away. The cemetery seemed endless, the rows of tombstones multiplying like a nightmare. She felt the shadows pressing in, their weight suffocating. Her breath came in ragged gasps, her legs burning as she pushed forward. Then she saw it, a faint red glow in the distance. She approached slowly, her chest heaving. Hidden behind a crumbling tombstone, she peered at the source of the light. A group of hooded figures stood in a circle around a glowing red symbol carved into the ground. The symbol pulsed like a heartbeat, casting the figures in sharp, flickering relief. Their robes were black, their faces hidden beneath deep hoods. Dellia's blood ran cold. She had to leave, but her body wouldn't move. One of the figures turned, as though sensing her presence. Then another, and another. One by one, they all turned to face her, their movements unnaturally synchronized. Dellia's breath hitched as the hooded figures raised their arms toward her. Their faces, or lack thereof, were smooth and featureless, like blank masks. "No," she whispered, stumbling backward. The red light flared, bathing the cemetery in a hellish glow. The whispers were deafening now, a cacophony of voices chanting in a language she couldn't understand. Dellia screamed as the figures moved toward her, their arms outstretched. The light engulfed her, searing her vision, and then silence. The cemetery was still again, the fog settling over the ground like a shroud. The only sound was the rustling of leaves in the breeze. Where Dellia had stood, there was nothing but empty air. The camera pans slowly, revealing her tombstone once more. Now, the name carved into it is fresh, the stone cracked and smeared with blood. The ground beneath it is dark and wet, hounding whispers in the distance, and then silent.